Welcome, everyone. My name is Brett Malacote. I'm the Associate Superintendent at the Sacramento County Office of Ed. Again, really pleased to have you here on a cold and rainy day here in Sacramento. I think for most of the state, I was just looking at the weather forecast or the radar kind of across California. Doesn't matter where you are right now, it's pretty rainy in California, which is, I think, welcome in most places for this time of year. But I think there's also maybe a risk of a little too much rain in some places as well with some flooding going on. So hope everybody's safe. If you're commuting today, make sure you're taking that extra time to get home safely. But again, the rain is certainly welcome here in our neck of the woods. Here's our some of our welcoming and kind of orienting slides, which I think everybody has seen here. Our mission, vision, and our desired outcomes. I'm not going to read each one of these to you. You've seen them a few times now, I'm sure, and you can check them out on your own as well. But maybe I'll pick that middle bullet in the desired outcomes today to kind of land on and spend a little time on. Expanded access to behavioral health services in schools or school-linked settings. And I really do. I think that is, for me anyway, that's what this is all about. How can we expand access to where kids spend most of their time during the school year, which is, of course, in school? And what better place than a trusted setting like their school campus to be able to get the kinds of resources, the kind of access that I know that we're all super interested in. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Here's our objectives, our agenda for today. Number one objective is reflect on the work to date and envision next steps to enhance school-linked behavioral health services, empower community voices. I know I'm really excited. We've got a presentation and kind of a spotlight or a highlight today with the San Diego County Office of Education. They're going to be a community voice for us today, which I'm really excited to hear about the work that they're leading in their space. We're going to engage in activities to foster collaboration and learning. That's kind of the idea, the kind of the through line for our community of practice, and then provide insight on TA and ways to support administration of the capacity grants. Our agenda is pretty simple, as it usually is. We're going to come up with a welcome here in just a couple of minutes. We'll do our inclusive welcome, and then we're going to launch right into some peer learning and discussion. Again, want to give a big shout out to San Diego for helping us out with this today. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Some housekeeping. I need to follow my own rules on this. I always seem to forget to do this, but if you would put your county office next to your name. Do want to just point out, and I think everybody was given this notice as they came into the meeting as well, but we do like to record these webinars just so folks have access to the content in case they weren't able to make it today, or if there was something that they just want to go back and listen to and check out again. We do keep those recordings, so just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. Let's go to the next slide. And then, yeah, we're going to be turning it over to Amanda at the Mendocino County Office of Ed to lead us in our inclusive welcome today. But again, just want to say welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. It's great to have you in space. I always look forward to these meetings, and today is no different. So let me turn it over to Amanda.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amanda Pantaleon. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I am the CYBHI clinician here at Mendocino County Office of Ed, in charge of implementing our CYBHI grant. And what I'm going to be leading you through today is an inclusive welcome surrounding joy. So next slide, please. This is just an overview for your reference. You can check it out later. I'm sure you are all aware of it in terms of social and emotional learning. And part of that is some self-awareness. Part of that is some social awareness and connecting, some self-management. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. Next slide, please. And so what I'm going to do, this activity is based off, if you haven't read it, it is a phenomenal book. If you've ever seen her speak, she also has an Instagram. Her name is Dr. Mary Catherine McDonald, and she has a few really great books out. Some are on trauma. This most recent one is on joy and how we can utilize joy to kind of support better well-being and regulation, both in the school and in the workplace. So next slide, please. Some little pieces of why, I always like to add of like, why are we doing this? Where is this coming from? What is this activity based off of? And the idea based off of Mary Catherine McDonald's work is around our nervous system, and really making sure that we are activating what she calls joy and hope circuits. So in short, if your nervous system has some stress and overwhelm, we usually get disconnected, right? That's when we feel overwhelmed. We might get burnout. We might disengage. We might stay home and not want to come to work. But if we pair that with joy in our nervous system instead, we build some sense of connection. And when we do that together, we can build a sense of community, trust, and just better overall health and well-being. Again, we are biologically built to co-regulate together. And so when we can share moments of joy and positivity with each other, it can dampen our overall stress levels. And so there's a lot of science behind joy. It lifts us physiologically and out of stress. It increases our dopamine, our serotonin, lowers our stress hormone, cortisol. It increases our vagal tone, which quiets our fear, peace in our body, right? And with that, what she has found is that when we access our joy or our hope circuits, our fear circuit cannot be on at the same time. So the more that we can activate that part of our brain and activate that more regularly, the more that we can, again, have, just better all feeling good, having students who are happier in the classroom, who are more regulated, teachers can be more regulated, and hopefully then you can take that home with you also as well. So next slide, please. Okay, so if you haven't already, if you could grab a piece of paper, something to write on, doesn't have to be. But what I'd like you to do is just take a minute to write down all the stresses that you have. Draw a little circle, a little square, something on a piece of paper, and just write down everything that is going wrong for your day today. It could be some of you like the rain. I have curly hair and it makes my hair frizzy, so it may be my stress for today. It could be that my kids were late getting up this morning. It could be that you're having technology issues. Go ahead and just write those down in what we're going to call your compost box. So just take about 30 seconds to a minute to do that. What I'd like you to do with that, if it feels safe and comfortable for you, is you can either tear that piece of paper off or away from whatever it is that you're writing on. You can crumple it. You can put it aside for now. You can put it in the trash if you need to. We're going to put that aside and not focus on those stressors for today. And now what I kind of want you to do is just look around you and take a moment to find some small joys for you. Maybe that is a favorite lotion you have at your desk. Maybe it's the smell of that. Maybe you have a favorite writing utensil. We all have it. We all steal them when we find them because they're rare and hard to come by. Right? Maybe it's sunlight outside of your window if you happen to have that today. Maybe you've got a picture of your loved ones, your family, your kids. Just look around there. And I now want you to write that down on a different piece of paper of what you see. What are those little joys that you might have? Okay, and this last piece before we go into the breakout rooms is I want you to just, if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes, you can take a deep breath, and I want you to just focus on that memory, that picture, that feeling, that sense, that whatever that is that's bringing you some joy, and just sit with it for a few seconds, for a few breaths. Close your eyes, notice what sensations come up. Maybe it shifts your mood a little bit. Maybe it brings up another happy memory that you have, and just sit with it for a second. And then what I'd like to do is we're going to go into the breakout rooms, and I would like you to just share what you noticed, maybe what that happy memory was, if you feel safe, what that happy joy is, and join the breakout room and share that with each other. And then we'll come back and do a quick check-in before we continue. So if you would like, just for the sake of time, I know sometimes when we talk about happy things, it can, what we found in our group was that it can lead to more memories and more happy things. And so my hope is that if you have any feedback or any positivity or things you want to share, please feel free to share those in the chat. And I hope that you take this little bit of joy with you today and everything else that you do. And I will pass it along to Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Like I'm seeing in the chat, I am feeling that warm welcome in my heart and in my body. And it felt so sweet to just talk with the folks in my room and feel a little closer to them. Really beautiful activity. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you so much. Cannot wait for Amanda, your presentation, and Mendocino's presentation next month as well at our COP in November. Great. Well, so just to remind all of you, I'm Patrick Shermer. I'm a coordinator here at Sacramento County Office of Education with the Capacity Grant team, and I'm coming from the local work. I was a clinician on our local side when we started our local school-based mental health and wellness program, and then became a clinical supervisor. And I'm now so excited to be here supporting all of you. Uh, we are now in the peer learning portion of our community practice. But just to kind of frame a little bit to remind folks of our flow for today, first we'll have our spotlight today, San Diego County Office of Education. And then after the spotlight, we're going to have a break. And then when we return from break, we're going to have our breakout rooms for a good 40 minutes to kind of dive in and think through some things. And then we'll come back with a share out and a closing. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce all of you to San Diego County Office of Education. They have been truly phenomenal. It's been so great to partner with them in preparation for this and to hear more of the amazing work they're doing to support their LEAs out there. They are truly diving deep with supporting their LEAs and really thinking intentionally and individually with each LEA they're partnering with to think through how can we support them? How can we really provide concrete tools to help them with the on-the-ground work? That's just so important. I'm so excited, truly, with their presentation today. I want to say like a piece that like really stood out for me as I was like listening to them prep and think through this was really modeling the importance of weaving in SEL practices in every meeting they do. So they offer an office hours for their LEAs, and they have welcoming practice, one of which they will show today, that they even model for their LEAs. So modeling at all levels of the work that they do, the importance of these signature SEL practices. And so that piece really resonated for me as an amazing piece. So before I transition it to them, just to plug, they will be doing a Q&A breakout room after our break. And then if you can't stay for that, no worries. They will be at our office hours this Friday as well to answer any additional questions you may have. So with that, I will hand it off to Heather.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Got the timer. All right, so Violeta, Mora, and I are here to share with you all kinds of information. And Violeta, you're going to pull up the slide deck. I'll just kind of pause here, make sure that.
Go.
Are you guys seeing the slides?
Not yet. Here we go.
Okay, because on my one little laptop, I couldn't.
All right. Thumbs up.
Yay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so thank you. Heather Namor here, Coordinator of Student Wellness and School Culture at San Diego County Office of Education. And my co-presenter today, Violeta, please.
Violeta Mora, Program Specialist with the Student Wellness and School Culture. Happy to be here.
Okay, thank you. If you can go back to the other slide.
All
So we're very excited to be here today to share with you our model in San Diego County, along with our lessons learned and our successes. And we hope by sharing this information with all our sister COEs that you'll be able to pull and use or replicate any of the tools or strategies that we share with you today, because San Diego, we are about sharing. All right, next slide, please. So what we have in store today is to really give a high-level overview of our model for how we built out our capacity grant in San Diego. We want to share our strategies for engaging LEAs, which are really our best practices that we use in all our initiatives in our county. And then we want to end with some of our plans to continue to support all LEAs in our county, along with how we're integrating other initiatives into the fee schedule. So to get us started, I'll kick us off with how our model looks. We approach this capacity grant by really laying the groundwork for successfully engaging LEAs, not just in the capacity grant, but also the fee schedule. And when we received this grant, as you all did, we thought, wow, we're not subject matter experts on billing, and our team is responsible for overseeing multiple initiatives. So we brought in consultants that are subject matter experts and also an all-in-one third-party vendor by building a real strong SDCOE team. So collectively, we were able to build our own capacity at our COE and also create the success you'll learn about today. So to get us started, thank you, Violeta, we want to share our approach. And our approach is called HUGS. and it is something we use in how we do business in San Diego. And I want to shout out our leader, Mata Madrigal-Wise. She came up with this as a keynote speech at a conference. And since then, this was years ago, our team has fully embraced it. And I want to call this out because Mata is an incredible leader that walks the talk with hugs every day. And without that leadership, we could not have done the work we have done today. And a shout out to our boss for Boss's Day tomorrow. Thank you, Mata, for all you do. So what this breaks down to is humility. It's a strength. It allows us to be open to others and reminds us to appreciate every person's unique situation and story. Humility fosters an environment of trust and respect and helps us develop empathy. Understanding, by doing so, we're more likely to foster stronger relationships with our LEAs, with our partners, which really improves the outcomes of the interactions. And grace is essential towards self and others when doing this work. It allows us to be kind to ourselves and also with our partners and our LEAs. Grace is staying in a place of goodness and kindness. And then we approach everything we do in the spirit of service. It is based on a commitment to helping others and making a positive impact for the betterment of all students. And we make sure that our whole team, our consultants, our vendor, we're all aligned that this is what truly makes our team seamless by using this hugs approach. Next slide. So in our county, we have 173 LEAs. We were able to successfully engage 87 LEAs in the capacity grant. We offer two different models to engage in the grant. One is direct, and we have 55 LEAs who chose to receive funds directly. And on the other side, you see the consortium model. We're not a billing consortium, a capacity grant consortium. We have 32 LEAs that are in our consortium. And these are the LEAs that really wanted to participate but did not want the responsibility for receiving funds or didn't have the capacity. So to participate, they're in a consortium model where SDCOE does the heavy lifting for them. In both models, we provide ongoing technical assistance and coaching. We participate, and our team participates in the ongoing statewide meetings, and we bring back the key takeaways to our LEAs in our monthly meetings with both the directly funded and consortium. All right, next slide, please. So this constant TA and technical assistance and coaching, it's about ongoing reporting. So our COE has our own progress report, and we support all of the direct LEAs by offering to review their progress reports before they submit them. We give feedback and we hold office hours to support the writing of those. Partnership development is a big piece that came on early in this grant. We had CBOs reaching out to us early on and wanting to meet to understand what is this capacity grant, what is this fee schedule, and where are there opportunities to partner with LEAs in this work, and also connect the dots for LEAs that don't have any CBO partnerships. We have created crosswalks and templates. We'll be sharing with you an example of a crosswalk shortly, and really helping our LEAs understand that we are preparing them to bill for services they are already providing to students. And then with templates, our all-in-one third-party vendor has provided us with so many templates to share, such as family caregiver communication, consent to bill, consent for services, student health insurance collection, and so on. And then the fee calculator, the fee schedule calculator, is something we're able to provide our LEAs when they're like, I don't know if this is worth it for us. You know, we're small, we don't have a lot of providers, and it's a way to show them what the return on investment, what might look like if they participate in the fee schedule. So this is a high-level overview of all the supports we provide. Next slide, please. So with our consortium model, we went through a rigorous solicitation process to contract with this all-in-one third-party vendor, while recognizing a lot of our LEAs are small and don't have the bandwidth to do this work. So we really needed a vendor that is an all-in-one that can take the administrative burden off of them. And as you can see here in the slide, our vendor, TAD Health, they're able to support the LEAs in 3 of the 4 readiness areas in the teal color. The service delivery piece is really our SDCOE support, where we are able to really meet them where they're at, use data to figure this piece out. Originally, we were going to do calming corners for all of them to have spaces to provide services. But once we collected data, we realized, wait, they already have that. So we pivoted and provided 30% of their funding back to them to meet the unique needs of their LEA by building service delivery in partnership or increasing hours of providers and so forth. And then we help them with the completion and submission of the state progress reports. Next slide, please. So our all-in-one vendor, when we say all-in-one, these are the primary supports they provide to our LEAs. And what's important to know is we contracted with the vendor. We didn't just let them go free with our LEAs because we wanted to make sure there was a comprehensive integrated approach, including our team, our consultants, and holding meet and greets with all of us. And we were able to really hold them to very high expectations. So for example, we asked them if they could support our LEAs in getting an NPI number, apply to cohort 5, think through what staff could be certified wellness coaches, help them get certified as wellness coaches, and so forth. So really being able to have that flexibility to support our LEAs, whether it's can you help present at their board or whatever it might be. Also really being thought partners, problem solving together with our team in supporting our LEAs. And their overall goal is for staff to spend as much time as possible with students and not documenting. We all want staff to be there with the students. So attending statewide meetings, as you all do, the office hours and so forth, they do as well. So our consortium LEAs have that option to not attend if they don't have the bandwidth to do that. And we're telling you all this not to promote our vendor. We're telling you all this because we want to empower you to hold your vendors to high standards, to really make sure that they're able to support the multiple needs of your LEAs. And when we can partner together and do this work, it's so much stronger. Next slide, please. So you can see here our cohorts in San Diego as we started off very small and we are slowly building up. You can see with cohort 5, we had a big jump, and that just shows our own capacity building that's happening with our whole team and being able to provide that support. So we're proud to say that 77% of our LEAs in the capacity grant are in a cohort, and we're hoping to reach 100%. All right, next slide, please. So with those 18 of our 32 consortium LEAs that are in cohort 5, you can see the work of our whole team really shows the progression here, how they are already working to do their kickoffs with the vendor and starting to book those trainings, working with our third-party vendor. And we really feel like this proactive approach, our 18 LEAs will be on track to start billing in January. All right, next slide, please. So the next several slides are really to show you how we are constantly engaging and supporting our LEAs. And the first, I want to just kind of talk about our overall approach in addition to hugs. So building off of hugs, really the secret of our success for engaging our LEAs is our overall motto in all things we do in our county, and it is to go slow, to go right. We really let them know there is no rush. We message that you are not behind. The longer you wait, the better. They can start off small and grow from there. And we had to get our vendor on the same page. They were ready to kind of jump in and very eager to get going with our LEAs, and we had to push back and really make sure that we are all on the same page and going slow to go right. And we are. I think that is what makes our team so strong. We all use and model this approach every day. Really letting our LEAs know you're not alone. We have this whole superpower team to support you in every step along the way. And we are all thought partners in this work. We not only meet LEAs where they're at, but this requires constant pivoting and problem solving and sometimes doing a site visit, whatever it might be, but our whole team is there for them along the way. And peer sharing and learnings. We spotlight an LEA at each of our community of practice and consortium monthly meetings so they can hear from other LEAs, challenges and best practices, and really peer sharing and learning together. So I'm going to hand it over to Violeta to talk about our spotlighting and how we engage our LEAs. So Violeta.
All right. All right. So we'd like to spotlight here one of our districts participating in the consortium model by sharing a brief clip from our recent monthly consortium meeting with Gary Brandon. He's a director of student services and alt ed from Mountain Empire Unified. This is an audio clip, so you're not going to see a video. You're going to hear an audio clip, and it's going to highlight the district's experience applying to cohort 5 and their onboarding journey. So I'm going to play the clip now.
It has been quite an experience, but I tell you, it was nothing that I did myself. The support I got from the county office, and especially if you aren't reaching out with every single question to Heather Beltoff and Autumn Webb, those two women are incredibly quick at getting stuff back and having all the answers. And of course, Heather and Moore and everybody at county office is making it possible. We've run from, I remember answering questions like a year ago, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm just gonna type stuff in, to now we've had a meeting with our full counseling and psych staff and our admin, and we've had a kickoff with everything, and I feel like I can answer questions now about what we're doing and what the purpose is. And let's face it, school districts, our money's drying up. We don't have very many options for creating revenue sources, and this and short-term IS is one of the few that we have. So it's been a lot this summer, but it was not me. I just asked questions and got driven and drug along, and it's been fantastic. So thank you for you guys. It's been really good.
Right. So that was Gary. Really appreciate his input and his presentation. So now I'm gonna walk you through our engagement strategies with the LEAs and see how it looks in practice. Okay. So in addition to hugs that Heather just went over and our overall approach, here are tangible strategies you can replicate along with real life examples of how they look in practice. We begin every meeting, like you do here, with SEL signature practices through a welcoming activity. This is a powerful way to check in with our LEAs and meet them where they are, especially important given the complexity and emotional weight of this work. The activity allows us to better tailor our support and engagement throughout the session, the meeting, and also through the grant process. All our meeting materials and recordings are available in a shared Google folder, including agenda, notes, and resources. So this slide is an essential slide for every consortium and community practice meeting. We review this slide every meeting to recap the two initiatives because there continues to be confusion between them. So we do frequent reminders. It's also helpful reference for any new LEA team members. The logos on the slides are intentionally there. They're included to help LEAs clearly identify which organization leads each initiative. And as we continue to navigate the evolving language of these initiatives, it's likely that everyone has developed their own version of the alphabet. The glossary and resources slide is designed to be a living document, supporting ongoing learning, fostering collaboration, and helping us stay aligned as new terms and practices emerge. Going to be 2 pages by 3 pages maybe. So the LEA self-inventory, this was essential for our team to gain a clear understanding early on of what each LEA currently has in place, particularly identifying the staff responsible for delivering services to students, as well as any existing partnerships with community-based organizations. Additionally, we needed to determine the specific locations where these services are being provided. As Heather previously mentioned, we even adjusted our approach upon learning that all sites had already established calming spaces. That was good to know through this process. We recommended that both primary and secondary contacts complete the self-inventory collaboratively alongside their colleagues who are directly involved in this initiative. These members included possibly people from pupil services, student services, special ed. So that was all really important. So exploring LEA partnerships and operational insights. We've reviewed both the LEA funded MOUs and no cost MOUs to identify potential affiliated or embedded partners. One key section of the survey focused on the vendors LEAs currently work with, allowing us to learn directly from districts about the community-based organizations they engage to provide culturally relevant services to students. For example, Mountain Empire, Gary's district, they partner with the Southern Indian Health Council to support their Native American student population. So we gained a lot of insight through this process. In addition to partnership data, we gathered valuable operational insights, including the student information systems that each LEA uses. That was really important to know. And also which LEAs participate in LEA BOP or SMA, the different billing programs. In our continued collaboration with Gary, we adopted a responsive relationship-based approach where we meet the district where they are in their journey and building from there. That was really important. This method has been proven effective and really fostering trust and momentum with our districts. And then this process also helped us learn about culturally responsive CBOs and programs, and we were able to share this with the other LEAs like Boys to Men Mentoring Network or like the California Gang Experts and Advocates. It was really been a really great process for all of us. And then we try to be responsive to the needs of the LEAs. The SDCOE team, we attend weekly meetings to stay informed and to bring back key takeaways that support our LEAs, because we know our LEAs are also present in these meetings sometimes. We actively engage to help troubleshoot in real time. For example, I know there was one where one of our LEAs mentioned that they were part of a billing consortium, and our team immediately jumped into the chat and provided support and an answer to their question, demonstrating that, SDCU is here to assist. So we're always listening, we're always there to support and provide any clarification. And then, so what does it look like in practice? Just looking at kind of like Gary's journey with all of our LEAs, we conducted the LEA inventory. We continue to schedule one-on-one meetings. We've done one-on-one meetings with all our LEAs, but we continue to do that. We coordinated meet and greets with the all-in-one EHR vendor. We delivered presentations to key staff, just like Heather mentioned, or I think Gary mentioned earlier about Heather and Heather, delivering an in-person presentation to Gary's staff to get more buy-in, answer any questions. It's a new initiative, so it's really important, just to answer questions along the way. And then it's also important that we explore the possibility of certifying staff as wellness coaches. We're happy to report that TAD Health helped Gary in completing the application process, and he is now a certified wellness coach. So really, really happy about that. And then it's really important that with the onboarding and training of staff that we prepare them for the implementation of the fee schedule. And just this last month, Gary identified who are going to be his lighthouse providers. So these are your early adopters, and a training is scheduled for November. So just want to remind everyone of what Gary said earlier in the audio clip, that he mentioned how he remembers handling questions a year ago and how he didn't understand everything. And now he could have a meeting with counseling, psych staff, and admin, and he feels like he could answer questions now. So our goal is to help our LEAs build their capacity in this new initiative.
Okay, I'm going to quickly wrap us up because I know we're inching towards out of time. Just some next steps and what we're thinking going forward. All right, next slide, please, Violetta. So a part of we all have our BHSSA initiatives in our county, and over the past 4 years, we have really focused on suicide prevention, and we have over 440 schools in our county that implemented evidence-based suicide risk screening using this toolkit along the way. Also, we have shared this toolkit statewide over various statewide webinars. Our COE Collaborative, CDE has this on their website, and really it's been a fabulous way for us in our county to be able to really illustrate to our LEAs, we know you're doing all of this suicide intervention work. And everything in this toolkit, the strategies and tools you're using are billable. So a light goes on and they're like, wait a minute, okay, you're not asking us to do anything new as far as service delivery. And so with that, we really wanted to look at how can we align initiatives. So next slide, please. Pulling out this our friends at SCOE in Santa Clara really wanted us to lift this up. So we're lifting it up. But a part of our initiative, I'm sorry, part of the toolkit has been to really look at reentries. Too often when our students go into mental health crisis and are in crisis care, whether it's ER or outpatient, inpatient, too often they come back to the school community and nobody knows what happens, and it's business as usual. So we have a whole kind of student reentry checklist and how to hold a reentry meeting. And it's really showing how we can make student assignment, classroom, and testing accommodations to ensure students are safe and supported in the school setting and ease them back into that setting. And so everything, of course, we're doing in that reentry process is also billable services. So just want to call out, a lot of you probably know about the toolkit. It's all here for you to dive deeper into looking at the tools, but that reentry is something we hear a lot about across our COEs in the state of they want more information on this. So we're always happy to provide that. Next slide, please. So just want to show you an example of some of the work we're just starting to do around crosswalking. So when you look at doing a suicide risk screening and the whole continuum of care, these are the different types of services and activities we're doing with the student beyond the risk screening. And each one of these are billable services. So with our team, our help of our consultants, we were able to put together kind of a snapshot of, just for illustrative purposes. This isn't a representative of a true reimbursed claim, but when a school can look at this, and so this is an example of a PPS school counselor. There can be other provider examples in a different crosswalk, but just saying, oh wait, yeah, that safety plan I do with the student, okay, that's billable, and that, working with the parents and giving them information and suicide prevention, that's case management. And so just making those connections and alignments have been really helpful in our county, and we're looking forward to continuing to do other crosswalks, such as we do a lot of peer-to-peer programming in school for mental health and suicide prevention, billable services, but creating these ongoing crosswalks. And then next slide, please. So just to close, what we're looking at ahead is we noticed that we have growing interest in our county with LEAs that did not get into the capacity grant because of timing, because of not having the bandwidth. And we're hearing more and more interest. So we're exploring a model of how we can support all LEAs in our county with future cohorts. And then these crosswalks, as I mentioned, and continuing to really establish these partnerships. We always work closely with County Behavioral Health and a lot of our big community-based organizations. So how we can find those opportunities for affiliated embedded providers with our LEAs. And then we are working on a comprehensive website, which should be available soon. Violetta and I have a lot of work to do on that, but everything we're sharing, we really want to make sure there's a website people can go to. So with that, our next slide is kind of like a coming soon for this link to our webpage. And that is it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank you.
Heather and Violetta. Really appreciate y'all. So much learning, both from a value standpoint of how you're doing this work, as well as all the toolkits and different protocols and processes that you have in place to support your LEAs and building readiness for the fee schedule and building a strong support system for youth mental health in San Diego. So really, really awesome. Thank you for sharing. What we're going to do now is we are going to launch a quick poll for breakout rooms. So that way you can let us know where you think you're going based on that fabulous conversation we heard from Heather and Violetta. And then once you answer the poll, we're going to put on some music and you can head on a break and really let it all sink in, the awesome stuff we heard and where you're thinking about heading into the breakout room. And then we'll come back in 5 minutes after the music is done and head on into breakout rooms. So after you finish that poll, we'll see you in a few. All right, all welcome back. Welcome back. All right, David, have fun. I'll see you later.
Thank you, Liz. Well, fabulous. We'll just hang tight while folks find their way to their selected room. All right, well, I'll take that quiet time as a way to go. So Heather and Violetta, thank you so much for your presentation. I really appreciate it. I know our community is very excited to have had your presentation, all the information, and I'm sure they got some questions, but just real quickly, I'm going to go ahead and remind folks kind of our process. We'll go ahead and lift up some questions that folks would like to have. Perhaps you have something that's topic. We'll go ahead and do traditional questions and answers. So you can go ahead and raise your hand, come off mute. You could also put it in the chat if you would like to. We can go ahead and I can go between reading the chat and or you can ask your own question. And then Heather and Violetta and Leslie will just engage in sharing more of their wisdom. Sound good for the group? All right.
Yeah, and I just want to call out that we also have Mara, Laura Naranjo, and Dr. Laurel Bear, who are all a part of our SDCUE team. And we all bring so much experience and expertise. So opening it up for all of us.
Oh my God, fabulous. We have Team San Diego in the house.
Team San Diego in the house.
I love it. And with that, let's go ahead and open up. Are there any folks that would like to start out with a question for our Team San Diego? Why did you decide to contact with TAD Health to support your COE?
Yeah, so, you know, we put together, we worked with our business services office here and put together a diverse panel, not just with our team here, but also we brought in someone from technology and someone from grant writing and just made sure we had a diverse team that could look at it from all angles. And so, we had a rubric that was created and we had very specific, as I mentioned earlier, supports and things we were looking for to support our LEAs. And I guess in the end, and you guys can help me, in the end, I think what really took precedence was that there was a large team available that included local staff in San Diego County and their experience working with the fee schedule. They are the first vendor to receive a successful reimbursement. That's not why we chose them, but it just showed that they did have experience doing this work and they had experience working with LEAs. A lot of vendors, this LEAs is new territory for them. And one thing that was really important to us is the cost and the sustainability beyond the grant. So when the capacity grant ends, we want to make sure that our LEAs are able to sustain those costs of having a third-party vendor to do their EHR and all of that. So it was the most reasonable and probably cost-effective for our LEAs to sustain. So there are many reasons, but those are off the top of my head.
Mhm.
And you guys feel free to add anything I missed. That's key.
Teresa, that's a great question because like Heather mentioned, there's so many proposals that we received and breaking it down into those key pieces and prioritizing from not only the LEA's perspective, but also from the person using it So making sure that each of the vendors demoed what their platform looked like. And we, in our top selections, like the top 3 or 4, we found that a lot of them were, were very clunky. So if I'm a PPS school counselor that's not doing LEA BOP, I may feel overwhelmed using this fee schedule platform. So just giving you an example of some of the things, thought processes that we went through in terms of deciding and landing on TAD Health. And with the cost effectiveness, again, so many, just like there's so many different vendors, there's also so many payment models. So we had to cost it out. What does that look like in 5 years? What does that potentially look like in 10 years once a capacity grant ends for the LEAs to continue? Sorry, I just wanted to add those additional pieces.
That's super important. And just, we wanted to make sure that the school staff aren't dealing with medical language, and how can it be just translated in education language? So they're not having to learn all these medical terms and so forth. So, so much of what we experience in office hours is very daunting, ORP and this and that. And that's all on the back end. So if you're an LEA, and if you're a school counselor, you don't need to know all that. And so we wanted something where easy as possible.
A quick question, just a clarifying question. You guys are doing a consortium, correct? So all of your LEAs are using TAD Health because you are supporting them on that end, correct?
Yes. So for the consortium, so when we did the whole RFP process and all that, that was on behalf of our 32 LEAs in the consortium model. So they didn't have to do the vetting and the all of the contracting and trying to figure out who to go with.
For the consortium, Teresa, because there's the consortium and then the directs, they chose who they want to go with. So it's just the consortium.
Got it. Okay. Because our model at Riverside COE is a little different in that we are not doing consortiums. Everything is your others. And so, but we really do want to be able to support those LEAs who are in cohorts. I love your slide that shows like how many were in cohort 1 to 2 to 3, and then all of a sudden 5, you have a lot. And we're seeing the same, where I think we had 3 on the first, 1 on the second, like two or 3 here on the third, and then the 5th one, I think we had the most. And so I think we're just seeing like, what is this going to look like in the next year that we're going to, we need to have some way to support those LEAs with the fee schedule, but not necessarily as part of a consortium, just more of just support, like building their capacity and having if you will, like TAD Health to support that work, even though they may not decide to choose them. But that's what we're trying to find, like how can we build our capacity at COE to support the fee schedule portion without really being part of a consortium. So really helpful. So thank you.
All right. Great. Yeah. Our team, we've come such a long way, our own knowledge and subject matter expertise on this. Thank you to Dr. Barron Leslie and all of you right at the statewide, these statewide meetings and stuff. It's an ongoing process. You heard Gary, he's like, I couldn't answer a question a year ago. I was just, guessing. And now it's like, I can answer questions. And that's capacity building, right? So it's happening at our COE level and it's happening at our LEA level. And that's why we go slow to go right, because this stuff takes time and there's not a rush.
Heather, you mentioned in your presentation that you learned with your vendor of choice, and you were, I think, giving advice not necessarily to choose your vendor, but to really lean in the COEs to have the vendor meet their needs. Can you speak a little bit about maybe what you've learned that helped inform you to advocate with your vendor to do maybe something different or expand on a certain level of services?
Yeah, I always say I never imagined this level of support that we were going to get, and I don't think they did either. And I think they're really in it for the love of kids, and hopefully we all are, right? And really, that's the end goal for all of us. We want to support all our students in San Diego County. And so with that, I think just really figuring this out as we go along And then because we're constantly on the pulse of our LEAs, we hope the one-on-ones, the office hours, the monthly meetings, we're constantly hearing like the real world stuff they're dealing with. And, you know, I said they're thought partners. So being able to just be like, hey, this LEA, this is what they're going through, and and we're brainstorming and problem solving together. And so it just happened that way, but we do hold them to high expectations, and everything we do ask for, they're like, yeah, that's a great idea, let's do it. But when we work with all our directly funded LEAs, and they, you know, and we always, are you doing LEA BOP? Are you doing small? And we say, we encourage you to start with your vendor that you currently have and have these conversations with them. And we give them guiding questions to ask. And because you know, you hear LEA saying, well, yeah, we have this vendor, but you know, we don't have any support, nothing's happened. And we're like, you need to ask for this, this, and this. So I think our level of technical assistance is also on that front, just giving them guidance on, you know, holding them to expectations, asking these questions. Yeah, so I think that's what we learned. Please add, you guys, if I missed anything.
I think something that's critically important is the integrated approach. It's truly a collaborative, and to the point where the San Diego team has met with the TAD Health team in person to really get to know and better understand the individuals they're working with. And so when we have to make, like Heather referred to, those mid-course adjustments, you know, or have some really direct conversations because we see something that may not necessarily represent San Diego County's approach, it's been very open. It's a very trusting environment. And the schools, the LEAs don't often know, like, okay, wait, at the beginning, are you TAD? Are you County Office of Ed? Because it was so integrated. And I think that really lends itself to, you know, the increase of capacity, the trust and confidence. When an LEA is on the edge and just not sure they have the bandwidth, we're able to kind of talk them off that edge and regroup and look at what do you need from us. So it's all those little nuances that I think has really lended itself to the increase of engagement and participation.
Yeah. And you know, we also encourage the vendors that we work with, talk to each other. Why, let's not compete with each other. Let's work together. And you know, if I have a certain vendor, and you know, I want to maybe explore a different vendor for the fee schedule, you know, how can we, you know, could one vendor create a button to get to the other vendor services, or like work together? And so we're hoping that continues to, that message just continues to permeate with all the vendors.
That's great. Thank you. Richard, you have your hand up. You have a question you'd like to share with Team San Diego?
Yes, please. It's been super helpful to hear how another county office has like kind of set up their consortium. Heather, I think you mentioned in your presentation that you don't operate with a billing consortium. I'm just curious, why you don't have a billing consortium? Like what was kind of like the thought process there?
Yeah, well, we don't have a billing portion because we are not a billing entity. We have our juvenile community court schools that do billing with our SELPAs, with special ed and all that. But you know, we don't really have the capacity or bandwidth to even do that. So we didn't even think it was an option to do it, let alone our team didn't know anything about not a lot about billing in the beginning. But you know, it's interesting because we do work with a lot of charters, and then there's multi-charter organizations, and they have charters in other counties. And so, you know, we're always talking, you know, billing consortium with those kinds of, you know, entities or LEAs. But yeah, Mata and I were talking recently about, could we bill because of all the funding cuts, and think of all the different departments at our county office that migrant ed and early ed, and you know, like maybe in the future, I'm looking at Mata, something we explore, but it just wasn't even in our bandwidth to do it.
Yeah, no, I
To
appreciate
be
that.
honest, we didn't bring on new staff other than Laura's position. This is one more thing that we do. So there wasn't new dedicated staff to this. So it's just, you know, this is just we had full-time position. We were already doing a full-time job. And so, you know, by bringing on, of course, Leslie and Dr. Bear, I mean, you know, our consultants, that's been huge. And of course, our vendor has been huge. And I wanted to go back a little bit to the conversation about the vendors. I think the other thing that was really critical is that we set the tone and tenor as to how they were going to work in San Diego County. So I know initially Heather talked about this, but it was, you know, great, who's ready to go? And it's really important that the COE set the tone. So it was like, no, you're not, it's not, here's a list of LEAs and go to it. It was, hold on, we're going to walk you through the door and then the conversations will start. And I think that was what was critically important, because our LEAs were kind of like, you know, deers with the headlights. Like they would go anywhere. And it was just so important that they knew, that the vendor knew it was going to be, again, what Heather said, slow to go right. And I think that set the tone for the rest of the LEAs that started to really trust the process. So I just want to share how critically important that is, that the COE set the tone for the rest of everybody participating in this. So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, no, that's great, right? They do work for you, to work with you, to
That's right.
support your LEA. So thank you, Mara, for really emphasizing that. I think any vendor we spend money, we need to maintain the control and the guidance.
Yes.
That's great.
Can I just add a little bit more to Richard? One of the, being a consultant and seeing kind of how other counties, one of the advantages that I've seen with San Diego County Office of Ed's model, in that they really are not an administrator over the billing. Because we've heard when initially introducing this to the LEAs, there's a lot of hesitancy with LEAs, like, well, what's the cut that SDCOE is going to take if we participate in your consortium? So seeing that as an advantage in terms of getting LEAs buy-in, in that there is no cut. SDCOE is paying the bill and allowing you this time to explore and experiment at your pace. So I just wanted to throw that as one of the advantages I've seen from my perspective as an outside consultant.
That's great. I see in the chat we had Charmaine is also asking related around ORP. What type of support does TAD Health provide around ORP?
That's a great, timely question, because we are exploring that right now. So Leslie, I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, this goes back to what Heather was talking about in terms of giving you kind of pulling the curtains back to see about holding our third party accountable and asking a lot of them. This is an example, because in our office hours, we've heard from a lot of you saying, like, for instance, Healthy Campus is offering ORP. So that gave us an opportunity to go back and ask this of our third party vendor, like, is this something that you'd be able to accommodate for our LEAs, especially the small ones where they, like, the principal is their bus driver, is also a teacher and a clinician sometimes, right? They could be a certified wellness coach given the activities that they support within their single site. So TAD Health, and this is something we've also appreciated, they do take their time in terms of making decisions that makes the most sense for their organization. And they have come back, and it's not cemented yet, but they do recognize this need, and they've offered different strategies, with TAD Health being the direct ORP provider as the last resort. So their goal is to partner with their LEAs and then provide them with resources within the community before resorting to using TAD Health. But that is something that they are looking to provide in-house. So Charmaine, I don't know if that helps answer your question.
For those really small LEAs that she was talking about, they could be that provider for those unique ones. Yeah.
That's great.
Yes, thank you. That definitely answered it. And also, you guys did such a great job. I'm looking forward to getting the slides. How you guys were thoughtful about breaking it down, providing support, and just reinforcing everything. You guys did a great job. I love hearing about it.
Thank you.
Fabulous. So again, this is a great reminder. If folks would like to ask a question, feel free to raise your hand. We'll go ahead and have you come off mute, or you can put it in the chat. Either way works. And that way we can go ahead and engage questions with Team Sandy.
Yeah, it's good to see, Kelly, that Healthy Campus is super helpful too. It's like I think it's so great when we peer share and learn around our vendors, because we only know what we know, but when we can hear from each other how things are going and get those experiences, that's super helpful.
So I have a question for you, Heather. As it relates
Yeah.
to supporting building capacity, what were some of the efforts that you really felt were some of the biggest gains or biggest wins? And then also, what were some of your actions that maybe you didn't land well, but it made you pivot and learn to do something different around building that capacity with your LEAs?
Anyone can answer this. I mean, I think we really highlighted like our big, like, I just am so glad we did it the way we did it, our model and how we did everything. And it all wasn't perfect because we hit a lot of road bumps along the way. And I think just it's so important for our SDCOE team to not just be us, because we have limited experience and knowledge in this, and to really be able to tap into our consultants and their whole team of experts in everything. And it's so daunting, the progress reports, just that alone. I think we've learned a lot about that, the progress reports, and just the layers of levels of understanding LEAs need to have. And so just having this as an integrated, comprehensive team approach has been huge. And I guess the biggest challenge that probably everybody can relate to, it's we have 87 LEAs, and it is a constant learning curve. It's constant. I mean, people will reach out to us for their cohort application thinking we approve their cohort application. And even though every meeting you guys see, we show the slides, we do a review, and just we can't be more clear. But working in schools and districts, it's chaotic. They're multitasking. There's a lot going on. Who knows if they're fully listening? So it's just the constant learning curve. And then if you have somebody that over the summer is gone and now you have a new person, just talked to someone yesterday, brand new, or assistant soup, she's in charge of it. I have to start from zero with her because she's, so it's this constant teaching, learning, building capacity. But that's why also it's so important we ask for a primary and a secondary, because it shouldn't fall on one person. And ideally we'd like a small team to really be able to take the weight off one person doing this work.
I would also say that I think from the very beginning, like when we went with both models, direct and then consortium, that was, I think if we would have gone one way or another, like and just that way, that would have been good too, because we would really know, like be able to support either side of it. But having, I think, the experience of kind of doing both, with doing both, that's really helped us even with working with the ones that are not part of the consortium to see where they're at, because it's like even assessing that, like, the possibility of like, expanding some type of a EHR model, how we could support that, but also seeing what are LEAs doing now, and if they want to participate in the fee schedule. I feel like we have kind of like a well-rounded experience in this, that we could really see where they're at, what do they want to go with, do they want to do something with their current EHR system, do they want to venture out and explore something else. So I feel like we've had experiences with just kind of just even the one-on-ones and the LEA inventory, and just kind of seeing, assessing each LEA of like, where are you at, where do you want to go with this, and how can we help.
And absolutely, Violetta. I think the one other piece is it's ongoing learning process. So Tad is meeting with each of the LEAs, and they may be getting onboarding, but Heather participates in the training. So they see the county office at face-to-face trainings. When they're meeting with the TAD team, the LEAs, we make sure that somebody, to the extent possible, is representing the county office so that we're sitting in those TAD meetings. So if we hear any express concern, or they need to go ahead and deviate from their original plan, we're there to support that. It's not just the EHR system. And so that's how we really feel like we have our pulse. We're developing those relationships. As Heather spoke to, there's a lot of trust and opportunities. The LEAs don't hesitate at all if they have a question to shoot an email out to everybody, but then it's an everybody response. It's not just the EHR response. So there's confidence that County Office of Ed knows what's going on as well as TAD.
David, I want to add, one of the this is also a testament to the flexibility that Sacramento County Office of Ed and Santa Clara Office of Ed has had with administering the grants, because we had to do a mid-year complete pivot with our consortium model. So Teresa, thinking about what you were saying around how can we support LEAs even though they've received the funds, like Heather touched on this in the presentation, we had to do a huge shift. It was consortium where we didn't need to worry about reporting back to the state for those 32 LEAs in the consortium to now all 87 LEAs in the capacity grant. There's reporting due because meeting the LEAs where they're at and learning that service delivery for them, they needed the funds directly to be able to increase that capacity in within their LEA. So that was a huge trial and error and big pivot that SDCOE, to their credit, they're doing all the reporting on behalf of those 32 LEAs. So they're the ones completing all the Qualtrics surveys. Teresa, for the upcoming round of reporting, it's the SDCOE team for the 32 LEAs doing those reporting. So sorry, I just wanted, because David, you're right. I mean, everything was a trial and error in the beginning and doing these mid-level like course corrections to really adapt to the needs of the LEAs.
Absolutely. All those office hours / peer learning, we kept, in trying, engaging, you'd give us feedback like, no way, that's not going to work in the field. We need something different. And we'd go back and scratch our head and try to see what makes the most sense. And so I appreciate those examples and the shout out. We do appreciate that.
If I could also add, I think that's also, it's the relationships that we have with our LEAs that they know we're always going to do what's in the best interest of the LEAs. So giving them back those dollars, we don't keep any of the money. To us, it's always, how can we give them back that's going to maximize services to students? Right. And when they trust that that's our priority, then then they give grace back. And I think that's what's really critically important, that we're able, they'll bear with us as we're riding the ship. And I think that just, it's reciprocal that way. So when we're saying, hold on, we got to right the carrier, it's not always easy and it takes a lot of time, but I think it has paid off in dividends that we are able to do these course corrections, because ultimately what we're doing what's best for them and what they're asking for. And so I think that's just really paid off in pretty much all the initiatives that we are able to launch out of the office. So yeah,
that's beautiful, right? Learn by doing, and when we make mistakes, learn from it. It's what we espouse to our kids in school. We as the adults need to have that space to try and morph and learn. With that, makes me think about your calculator example and kind of sharing that to that old adage, is the juice worth the squeeze? Maybe you want to share a little bit about how that unfolded, maybe some of the areas that highlighted that the juice was sweet and that there was more than people anticipated. Where are people, getting the best reimbursement on their services, et cetera?
Yeah, I think too, like that LEA self-inventory, that was so brilliant that we did that, because we basically had a whole data set from every LEA, what they have, who do they have, what services, do they do LEA BOP, do they have a vendor, what's their SIS system, all of that, having that at our fingertips, then meeting one-on-one with each LEA to go deeper. And Laura here is amazing. She's probably got like a whole case file on each LEA. We go look at it, we're like, wait, what did they say they want to do, or what are they doing? So just that, I think that is super important, and being able to just have data to inform everything we do with this initiative. So highly encourage, using something like that to be able to be responsive to their needs. So, oh, wait, I lost. What was his original question? I was
The
going to
juice?
circle back to fee schedule.
The
fee
fee-
Oh, so
calculator.
anyway, I'm sorry. I wanted to circle back. So anyway, so you see these very small LEAs, who, like Leslie said, are the bus driver, the superintendent, and so forth. And they're, you guys know, like, we lost some LEAs. We had 91, but they're like, what's in it for us? So, Leslie, really created this whole, and Dr. Bear, like this return on investment idea. So, we work with Laura and we collect the information needed that they ask for, and then they'll do a whole kind of return on investment. And Leslie, do you want to speak what that looks like a little?
It's a true partnership with the LEA, getting a sense of who their staff are, about what's their
I forgot what the
week
word
to
is.
week activity load look like, and then kind of mapping it on so you can look at an annual return. Because we hear it all the time from DHCS. This is not 100% salary match. So what is that percentage? So that's what we are able to help calculate using the LEA's information they provide us, and then do, like, is it 70% productivity? Is it 80% productivity? What does that return look like in a year?
Oh, that's beautiful, right? Because reductions, sometimes, we may not get a COLA, or there may not be additional funding, or maybe a title this or something. Maybe the federal government makes some, decision that's impactful. You can say, well, look, you can mitigate a 5%, 15%, 20% return on this person. It's going to already be doing the work, right? You might as well have that reimbursement come back into that work stream.
When they feel like, well, I don't have staff to bill, but you look at certain staff that are doing everything that a wellness coach would do. And so realizing that, well, wait a minute, you do. And so with our, vendor, we're easily able to get them certified as a wellness coach. So then that's also a part of that return on investment. Where are there possibilities to certify wellness coaches?
Yeah, that's great. I just want to remind folks, we have about 5 more minutes. So if you have that question you're really wanting to lift up, please do lift it up. Obviously, sometimes questions you may have in your mind, someone else is thinking also. You can put it in the chat. We'll go ahead and read it for you, or you can raise your hand and ask Team San Diego yourself. And it's great to hear that the juice is worth the squeeze. And I love the way you frame that example, that if you're showing where that revenue stream can come from, even if it's a 5%, 15%, at the end of the school year, that will make a significant difference to a discretionary budget. And I think that's key here in Santa Clara. We've reminded folks that this is discretionary funds that come back, that then you can support and mitigate, programs, or to expand services, or just to maintain that level of service.
Yeah, I think that's really starting to catch on with LEAs that did not participate in the capacity grant. I don't know about your counties, but now they're kind of hearing, going, well, wait a minute, maybe we do want to participate in this. And that makes sense. It takes time.
I have another question. If folks are, any other questions coming up, I don't want to dominate. You know me, I can talk a lot. Oh, you guys are gracious. You talked about expanding your partnerships and to build that capacity. What future partnerships are you looking to expand in San Diego County to support? Is it community-based organizations, other government agencies that maybe you haven't really partnered with yet?
We are learning, as Violetta talked about, the different community-based partnerships that our schools have with each other. And so we're looking at the different partnerships that they do have. And then we're also looking at the different CBOs who are coming to us saying, we want to partner with LEAs. And in San Diego, you can't get into an LEA's door if there's not trust and a relationship built. So kind of being the catalyst to making that happen. And especially, and also with that 30% that we gave back to the consortium LEAs for service delivery, it's, maybe not enough to hire a counselor or a therapist, but it's maybe doing a contract with the CBO to bring in a therapist 2 days a week. So that's where the partnership development was super important, because they wanted to use their capacity funds to do something like that, right? And then not have to worry about sustaining a position later on. So we are you know, as I said, we work with our county behavioral health and the school link services and a lot of initiatives. But for example, we just launched our mobile crisis response team in all K-12 schools in November 2024. We've had it for a few years, but it's just been community based. And now it is in all our K-12 schools. It's a huge game changer for our schools who have students with mental health crises on a school campus and don't have the support to address it. So all the work they do to call MCRT to coordinate services, and then the post, that's all billable services. So that's another crosswalk we want to do. So Mata and I work closely with County Behavioral Health to expand this amazing service to all schools in our county. And so that's an example of where we can find these services to all schools, and then also, you know, align it with the fee schedule or capacity grant.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's a great example, Heather. I know a lot of folks are just jumping into the room. You came in at a great example. So I just wanted to lift that back up for the late or the new joiners. The question to Heather was building the partnerships with some of her other agencies, community-based organizations, or partnerships with other government agencies. And I think something you just lifted up, Heather, that I find really brilliant is that you're using these vetted community-based organizations with different LEAs, sharing them and being the conduit to support that to other LEAs to help them get in the door to be believed and supported. And then also showing them how that can also be, all those efforts are also billable services. Can you speak a little bit about that and recap it in the next minute or so before we have the rest of the folks join us?
Yeah, I was just saying that Mon and I work closely with our county behavioral health in many initiatives, but one that's new that we launched in November 2024 was the mobile crisis response team that's only been available to the community, not schools. And we did a countywide pilot and to all K-12 schools in San Diego County that, you know, students that experience a mental health crisis on a school campus can now call MCRT, a trauma-informed response to mental health crises in schools. And it's also for staff, mental health crises. And they're able to send non-law enforcement, a team of clinicians out to de-escalate and to address the situation and transport if needed and so forth. So I was saying when LEAs launch MCRT and request them to come to the school, the coordination of services that happen pre and post MCRT coming are all billable services. So not only have we launched this countywide amazing service in our schools, but also we're able to align it with billing and the fee schedule. And that'll be our next crosswalk we do with the mobile crisis response team.
That's fabulous. Again, San Diego County, amazing presentation. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. A fabulous questions and answer session. So thank you. For folks that were not able to join the Q&A because their interest led them to a different breakout room, do not worry. Our San Diego team will be with us at Peer Learning office hours on Friday. So you'll be able to ask and engage in that dialogue with them this upcoming Friday. Thank you so much again, San Diego. We have some time now for some peer learning and some sharing out. So if folks would like to take a turn, maybe coming off mute, would like to share out something that has come up in the breakout rooms that they'd like to lift up and share with their colleagues. Now's the time to do it. You can feel free to raise your hand and we can go ahead and have you share out a little bit.
I can provide some update. I know in our group, we were talking about LEA engagement. So there are some resources I share in the group about using a checklist for one-on-one TA with LEA to go over. And I have 2 LEA I meet with them weekly to go over the checklist. So that's one of the resources I post that checklist in our in the Capacity Grant share drive. And also there's some of you might also see there's updated there's a 30 seconds YouTube and radio announcement available by DHCS. So I including the link for the YouTube there, and I also hear personally on the radio when I was driving past weekend. So it's available in the community, and then I was very excited when I hear about they usually have an acronym for Access Benefits Confidential ABC. So that's a video there. It's also in the chat. There's updated flyer brochure. It's more simplified, available by DHCS. If you check out, I also post that in the LEA resources there. So those are a few resources I would like to share on our group.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vera. Really appreciate that. Again, those are in the chat. If you haven't seen in the chat right there, there's a link that could take you to the brochure, and some extra information we put in the resource drive. Thank you, Vera.
I'm happy to jump off and share. We had a really quaint group in the workforce and expanded learning space, and we talked about some common themes. One, we talked about certifying wellness coaches as part that are existing expanded learning staff, and braiding the funding of those fundable activities as a community school and MTSS sustainability strategy, as well as co-locating clinical services in the expanded learning space to increase those billable encounters, and to sustain the school-based mental health and even generate revenue. But we also talked about what it looks like to create some cross-county collaboration in order to do that, right? Between capacity grants, expanded learning, community schools, and MTSS technical assistance structures, and then working with cross-sector implementation teams. We also shared a resource of our recent Expanded Learning Academy that talked about partnering with expanded learning to implement school-based mental health, and featured an LEA example of Modesto City Schools. So I'll go ahead and throw that link into the chat so that folks can access all the materials and recordings from that.
That's great. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. We had Caitlin lift up in the chat from EHR Billing that strategies for gathering insurance information. Collection is a big sticking point for many COEs and LEAs. Several COEs shared about their approaches to collecting insurance information, including a toolkit from Ventura County that we'll share in the summary, and also spend some time discussing approaches to collecting consent and issues related to minor consent. And then looking to clarify, Tanya continues, looking to clarify here is the ability for minors to consent to billing. Couldn't quite remember what has been shared from DHCS. So like some comments or some other things to look into to clarify from DHCS. Wonderful. Gathering information also came up from small and rural breakout rooms. Fabulous. Well, again, this is a great time to share from the breakout rooms. If you'd like to come off mute and share, and or you can place it in the chat. And if you, again, as a reminder, if you scroll back up through the chat, there's the link that Vera put, a video link around CYBHI fee schedule. Easy as ABC, access benefits confidential. Very cool. And Jeff, thank you for posting the Expanded Learning Academy on partnering with EXL for school-based mental health. Great. All right. Well, we'll just give another wonderful pause, give people the opportunity to lift up anything they'd like to share before we move on. All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and jump into slide 19. We're looking for your feedback as always. You know how important the feedback is. Our feedback drives our community of practice. It also drives our community work in general and how we support all of you. So we want to hear your feedback. In a moment, we'll go ahead and pop in the link for the feedback. Thank you, Sienna. I really appreciate it. And I think we're gonna have a little bit of music, some Whitney Houston. So please enjoy the music and provide the feedback. We'll see you in a couple minutes. So thank you so much, everyone, for your feedback. You know how important that is to us, and we really appreciate you taking the time to provide that feedback. If you haven't had a chance to finish, please do take the time. We'll go ahead and send that out later on because your feedback, again, drives our shared work. All right, well, let's go to the next slide. Today's community practice has come to an end, and we really wanted to have the opportunity for our intentional closure. Highlight some of the individual learning and our shared understanding of the importance of the work. It kind of helps us kind of bond and come together and have a beautiful sense of closure and purpose. So with this, please share something you would plan to do this coming weeks in this beautiful fall season we've had, and that started with this beautiful rain across the state of California. So in the chat, feel free to type in something that you'd like to do this next couple weeks in this season that brings you joy. Is it going to be carving pumpkins, trick-or-treating, lots of warm, cozy tea? Patrick is ready for tea season. Amazing. I love tea. We've got Caitlin. She's going to be eating candy corn. Controversial, she knows, but she loves it. That's awesome. I love candy corn too. Go to a pumpkin patch. Oh my gosh, there's so many cool pumpkin patches. Enjoy the fall foliage. Sienna, East Coast, you're lucky. You get the fall colors. Beautiful, beautiful. Eating my kids' candy. Well, that's important, Heather, right? Reduce their candy load. That's the least parents can do for their children, right? Awesome. Have seasonal coffee. Vera's gonna have some seasonal coffee. Probably put some yummy stuff in it. Lovely. We've got some chai tea lattes. Always good during the fall. Oh, you betcha. Love it. We got Amanda watching her kids get all amped up on candy and living vicariously through their joy. Oh, love it. So true. Anything pumpkin spice, that's we got going on. Lovely flavored coffees. Some more candy corn, Halloween candy, seasonal everything. Gonna get my leaf raking out. All right, Jeff, got a whole bunch of leaf raking going on. Sounds good. Gonna do a Winnie the Pooh, jump in all those lovely leaves. All right, lots of celebrations. We have a son's birthday and a husband's birthdays. We have wedding anniversary. Lisa, you've got a lovely season ahead. Wonderful. Eating lots of candy. Amazing. Well, all this good stuff coming. Thank you all for sharing. We really deeply appreciate all of you. And from all of us to you, have a lovely rest of your day. Please continue just to be you, because we really need you out there across the state of California, providing all this wonderfulness. So from all of us to you, take care and thank you so much.